From an off year is hitting .394 and leads the Expos with 9 RBIs. Terry Francona replacing Al Oliver at first, hitting .345 and has strengthened the defense. Charlie Lee takes a 1-1 record to the mound for the Expos this afternoon against veteran left-hander Jerry Koosman of the Phillies, who is 1-0. Expos baseball on CBC Television Sports. Year-round, CBC Television keeps viewers up to date and entertained. It's a beautiful day in Montreal for the Expos' 1984 home opener. Temperature will be in the low 60s, and as you can see, it's bright and sunny, and a crowd of about 45,000 is expected to be on hand this afternoon as the Expos face the Philadelphia Phillies. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dave Van Horn, and along with Duke Snyder, we begin our 12th season working the CBC telecasts for you. We hope you're going to enjoy another season of Expos baseball. My, how time flies, Duke, for you and I, season number 12, and for the ball club, number 16.
Well, Dave, I'm looking forward to this season. The Expos have shown a lot of offensive punch throughout the early part of this year. The pitching staff has not really come into its own yet, but when Steve Rogers gets in full groove and the warmer weather sets in, I think the staff will take care of itself. And as long as the runs keep coming, the defense is fine, things should be pretty good.
This Philadelphia ball club is the team that won the whole thing last year in the National League. They fly the pennant over Veterans Stadium. They're also the team that single-handedly eliminated the Expos last September.
Well, they did, and they've changed their ball club completely around now. They've gone to the youth movement. They've got some fine young players. They've made a couple of trades, and some of the wheeze kids, they called them last year, are gone. Pete Rose over here, Tony Perez with Cincinnati, and several of the other fellows are gone from the ball club. So they've changed their club. It's a new look. They run more. They're going to try and steal more bases, which they have done. Samuel, for one, has stolen 7 so far.
And, you know, we're going to see Charlie Lee, who won the Expos opener in Houston, and his mound opponent, an old National Leaguer, has come back home, Jerry Koosman.
Well, Jerry Koosman, a fun guy to be around and a great competitor. We'll see a guy out there that's 40 years old, as you say, and he's a control-type pitcher. Now, he has to do it with finesse. He cannot overpower you too much. So we'll see a veteran out there against a guy that really takes charge in Charlie Lee.
And we'll continue with our pregame show right after this. Sport O'Keefe, your box seat to Expos baseball from expansion team in 1969 to pennant contenders today. With a star-studded roster, the Expos have all the talent to take the National League East. A super season of Major League excitement. Follow all the sports, amateur and professional, with Sport O'Keefe, bringing the sports world home to you.
The legend of the Klondike is based on the quality of our steaks, but it's also our people. Chefs, waitresses, hostesses, we have no competition to thank in town. Here, everybody is working together to make sure that your meal at the Klondike is the best part of your day. Enjoy our El Dorado rib steak, our Klondike roast beef dinner, or our Klondike sirloin steak. All served with all the trimmings and the special attention that you deserve. La Grilladerie Klondike Steakhouse, first exit west of DeCary Circle.
See you soon! The Expos knew they had to make changes following their disappointing 1983 finish. 8 games behind the National League champion Philadelphia Phillies. And they did. This man, Pete Rose, made most of the off-season headlines. The Expos signed the 42-year-old former Cincinnati Red and Philly as a free agent in the hope he could provide the missing ingredient, enthusiasm or leadership or just a winning attitude. Rose has played in 6 World Series during his 21-year Hall of Fame career. He's the Expos' new left fielder. Another newcomer in the starting lineup is Archita Salazar. Manager Bill Verdon has not been happy with the Expos' infield defense in 1983. He gave the shortstop job to the flashy rookie right from the start of spring training. Gary Lucas is a third new face on the 1984 edition of the Expos. He came in a trade from San Diego to bolster the bullpen, and his 46 saves during the last 3 seasons are the most by any National League left-hander. Also new are right-handers Greg Harris and Fred Breining, the latter on the disabled list with a bad shoulder after coming from the Giants in the Al Oliver trade. A late addition via that trade was another right-hander, Andy McGaffigan. There were two other free agent signings in the offseason. Darrell Thomas is a jack-of-all-trades who has played every position except pitcher in 12 seasons in the majors. Miguel Delaney has tremendous speed in the outfield and on the base paths. They help to bolster the depth on the Expos bench. Well, I think there's no doubt that manager Bill Verdon feels that the club is stronger than the Expos were in 1983. Are they good enough to win in the National League? We'll know that in about 6 months' time, but I think generally, Duke, everybody's got a pretty good feeling about this 1984 Expos team.
Well, I think so too, Dave. The ball club has a very good attitude, and I think a little bit of Pete Rose is starting to rub off on these young ball players. Some of them getting near 30 now, but still they haven't matured the way you'd like to see some of the veteran players on the Expo Ball Club, and I think Rose his influence will help, and I know it's already helped Gary Carter.
Well, there you see the new AstroTurf in place here at Olympic Stadium, and the plexiglass fence areas in right field and left field where the bullpens will be located. And the pregame ceremonies here are underway. The Expos are 3-4 in 7 previous home openers at Olympic Stadium. Overall, they're 8-7 in the 15 previous home openers here in Montreal, including their Jerry Park records. By the way, it was the Expos and the Phillies that opened Olympic Stadium to baseball. April 15, 1977. These two clubs opened up Olympic Stadium. Phillies won that ball game 7-2. Phillies are being introduced. Here is Juan Samuel. He's shaking hands with manager Paul Owen. Samuel, their leadoff man.
Samuel off to a great start, hitting .346.
First baseman Len Matusek.
Matusek, who took over for Pete Rose at first base in September last year and did an outstanding job.
Everybody knows Mike Schmidt.
Well, he just keeps piling up the home runs, the RBIs, and Golden Gloves.
Here's one of the best outfield arms in the league, Joe LaFay.
That's right. When Joe LaFay gets the ball, why, you have to be a little bit cautious taking an extra base or trying to score on him.
Here's a newcomer, Duke, a youngster over from the American League, Detroit Tigers, now a member of the Phillies, their left fielder, Glenn Wilson.
He's got a little bit of sock. He has 1 home run this year, but his batting average at .214. He's got to improve on that a little bit.
Here comes their center fielder, Von Hayes.
Well, Vaughn is expected to do a lot. He hasn't done it as yet, hitting .250 this year. But the Phillies expect him to be one of their main players for a long time.
Here's their #1 catcher, Bo Diaz.
A man of many stances. He's off to a slow start, hitting .217.
So we may see a few different...
Right. Ivan De Jesus, the shortstop, he can handle it, and whatever he hits is a bonus. He's batting .333, 9 for 27, and steals bases.
Here's Jerry Koosman. In just a few minutes now, he'll go to the bullpen to begin warming.
Well, you're going to see a lot of numbers out of Koosman on your screen today. He's 40 years old, and lifetime 203 wins, 190 losses.
National League champion Philadelphia Phillies. Now the Expos will be introduced, and it'll be interesting to listen to the crowd reaction. First one out, of course, was Yuppie. The next one out. There's Yuppie. And Bill Verdon beginning his second year as the manager of the Expos.
Bill Verdon has the type of club that he loves to manage. So has some guys that can run, has some sock on the ball club, and when the pitching staff, as we mentioned, rounds into shape, why, you'll see an exciting team.
Let's listen to this.
There he is, the man of the hour right now. A lot of media here to see Pete Rose get his 4,000th hit.
The fans standing to welcome Pete.
Standing ovation for Pete.
Pete Rose, of course, the Expos leadoff man. Now, we might tell you right here, we'll talk about it more during the game, Bill Burton has predicated this batting order, the top of this batting order, on Rose's ability to maintain a high on-base percentage. We'll talk more about that. Here's Brian Little.
Well, Brian, another leadoff man in case Rose doesn't get on. Brian off to a great start, hitting .400. Here's the people's choice right here.
Tim Raines.
Boy, has he ever gotten off quickly. .438 batting average.
Andre Dawson.
Well, the only thing about Dawson that is a concern is his knees, his left knee bothering him somewhat, and he was limping today as he stepped up to home plate for batting practice.
Playing at first base today, Gary Carter.
Well, the kid will play first base, as Dave mentioned, and he's happy to be out there. It's like a day off for him almost. He's also gotten off to a tremendous start. .394 batting average.
Third baseman Tim Wallach.
Tim's batting average at .242, but he's producing 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, and 3 doubles.
Here comes today's catcher, Bobby Ramos.
Well, Bobby 1 for 5 this young season. He's got a pretty good arm, a hustler, and a nice guy to have on your ball club.
Here's the young shortstop, Argenis Salazar.
Argenis can pick it at short. There's no question about that. It's how much he's going to hit. Has an RBI and a double, 5 for 26, a 192 batting average.
The starting pitcher for the home opener, Charlie Lee. He beat the Astros to get the season underway for the Expos. And now you'll meet the rest of the 1984 Expos. Here's Greg Harris.
Well, Greg with one of the better curveballs on the staff, and he's been used quite a bit. All the players coming out right now, I guess they'll be introduced individually, but Greg, a big surprise. He came into camp knowing that there weren't many spots available on the staff, and he went right out and won a job.
Now they'll step out from that lineup there. We should see Gary Lucas, the newcomer to the staff. Bryn Smith in the starting rotation at the start of this season.
He's 2-0. You can't knock that.
There's Bill Gullickson, and Gullickson will be looking for a victory tomorrow. He's 0-2.
He draws Steve Carlson tomorrow.
Newcomer Andy McGaffigan from the Giants. Here's Jeff Reardon, the ace of the bullpen staff.
Big smile. He's doing very well.
It's nice to see Jeff smile, too. He's
Right.
usually so serious. There's Bob James, and he'll get it together.
He will. He throws hard. He's just struggling right here at the start of the season.
Left-hander Dan Schatzeder. Steve Rogers due to come off the disabled list this coming week. They've got him penciled in to start next Friday, 1 week from today, in St. Louis against the Cardinals. David Palmer. Pretty good comeback story so far.
Boy, he pitches well in this ballpark.
And he'll pitch here on Sunday afternoon.
Right.
Chris Spire, veteran shortstop, now being called on to serve as a backup utility player. There's Darrell Thomas. He's strengthened the bench.
He's quite a guy.
Terry Francona, who's the regular first baseman, but not playing against left-hander Jerry Kuzman today. There's Doug Flynn. Jim Walford, good man, Duke.
He is that. He led the club in pinch hitting last year. Right-handed hitter.
Another newcomer, Miguel Delaunay.
He can fly and also get some base hits for you.
There's Mike Stenhouse. Here comes Billy DeMars, the Expos batting instructor.
They said Pete Rose is going to give the 4,000th ball, the 4,000 hit ball to Billy DeMars. It's interesting.
That'd be kind of neat. There's Russ Nixon, the Expos' new third base coach, former manager of the Cincinnati Reds.
That's giving Billy a couple $1,000, because if he ever wants to sell it, it's going to be worth something.
I bet you couldn't get it away from him for $1 million.
Right.
Philippe Alou, the Expos' first base coach, we saw a moment ago. Galen Cisco is the Montreal pitching coach. Joe Kerrigan, the bullpen coach. And the Expos trainers. Physiotherapist Ron McLean, he's the head trainer. Good man. Mike Kozak is his assistant.
They look like bookends, only Kozak's a little bit younger.
There's Koz. And John Silverman, the Expos equipment man. And the 1984 Expos have been introduced to the fans here at the stadium. We'll be back with more on our pregame show after this.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's brewed here. It's yours and mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time. We've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller Time.
Miller High Life, regular price and one of the best beers you can buy. Welcome to Miller Time.
Thinking of decorating? You think of a million solutions.
But at the House of a Million Carpets and Tiles, you don't just think of a million.
Because for quality ceramics for any room of your home, Million Carpets and Tiles will show you a million solutions.
But more important is the satisfaction of finding what you need. You'll even find Italian marble and Oriental carpets at the most unexpected prices.
For more than 40 years now, satisfaction is what you've found.
The House of a Million Carpets and Tiles.
Now with many more than 1 million satisfied customers.
To commemorate their participation and to thank them for their
There's Expos manager Bill Verdon.
Are pleased to present each
The
of
opening
athletes
day ceremonies are continuing here. Pretty soon now, I would think that, while Charlie Lee has been in the bullpen for a while, I would think Jerry Kuzman to be making his way down there to begin warming up for the start of this ball game. Mike Tommy, the Canadian Olympic Alpine ski team. The Expos are saluting the Canadian Olympic athletes here today. As a matter of fact, Gaetan Boucher will be throwing out the first ball. And Pete Rose presenting Mike Tommy with an Expos shirt. There's Robert Wilson, bobsledder. All of the athletes being presented with the Expos jersey that you saw Pete present to Mike Tommy. Brian Little presenting one to Robert Wilson. Jamie Eagleton, member of the figure skating team. Boy, Duke, it is such a beautiful day that we couldn't help but think back to 2 years ago when they had the blowtorches down on the field, huh?
They did, behind home plate, melting the frozen water that had rolled off the tarp and froze behind home plate, and they had that to get that off the AstroTurf before they could play.
Benoit Lamarche of the speed skating team. Natalie Grenier, also of the Canadian speed skating team, coming out next. There she is.
Jean Pichette.
There's Jean Pichette, also a member of the Canadian speed skating team. Tell you one thing about this Philadelphia ball club, Duke. They've been rough on the opposition in home openers. They're 5-2 coming in here. And, of course, they won their own home opener, beating Houston. They spoiled Atlanta's home opener. And Mike Schmidt has hit 2 home runs already, and both of those home runs have won games. So the Phillies are using an old facet of their game to win games, the power from Schmidt. And I think we're going to see a pretty exciting player in Juan Samuel, this youngster they're using in the leadoff spot here this afternoon.
Well, they like him very much, and he's off to that tremendous start. Just 2 RBIs in the leadoff spot, no extra base hits, but 7 stolen bases, 9 for 26. He's an exciting type player.
The Phillies are still lined up on the third base line while the introductions continue. Jacques Thibault, the speed skating thing, is introduced. Here's the big man, and he is a hero here. He won 2 golds and a bronze at Sarajevo, Gaetan Boucher. Standing ovation for Gaetan Boucher. The Expos are making a $5,000 donation to the Gaetan Boucher Foundation for the development of speed skating in Canada. Again, 2 golds and a bronze at Sarajevo. Now here at the stadium, all of the fans actually will remain standing after giving Gaetan Boucher a standing ovation. Celine Dion will again sing the national anthem.
The Montreal Expos are honored to present a young Quebec artist of international fame. Mesdames, Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, accueillons Mademoiselle Céline Dion.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what surprise we hailed as the twilight left gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the rampart we won, we're so gallantly streaming, and the rugged trail below, the bumpers singing out, gave proof through the night, not a flag
L'histoire est une épopée des plus brillantes exploits au Canada. Glorious history. We stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for
Céline Dion. And she did a tremendous job again, Duke. Talented young lady.
Well, she is that, Dave, and I just look forward to every time she comes to Olympic Stadium to sing the anthems, and I would like to hear her a little bit more. I'd like to see her out here a little bit more because she gets things, she gets the old adrenaline pumping. I'll tell you, the players I know have got to be raring to go now after hearing that.
Well, she does that. There's Bob James. Expos, some of them will head to the clubhouse.
I'll tell you what, Dave, when she sang the Star Spangled Banner, it's like almost me wanting to go down to the Naval Re-Enlistment Center and re-enlist in the Navy.
There you go.
I'm telling you, she really sings it.
It's hard to say that some of the players will head to the clubhouse now or either get another jacket on or what have you. Some of them will go grab a cup of coffee, but you can bet they won't miss anything here. They're going to be right back out because, number one, their team will be taken to the field in a moment, and the Phillies will be coming to bat. And number two, Pete Rose will be leading off the bottom part of the inning. And that is a big story here today. Gaetan Boucher throwing out the first ball to Bobby Ramos. Pete Rose, of course, with 3,999 career hits, going for number 4,000 here today.
And Gaetan getting some awards from the Expos, Steve Rogers and Bill Stoneman. I tell you,
I mentioned a few moments ago the Expos are making a presentation to his foundation. There's Bill Stoneman, assistant to the president, John McHale, Bill on the left, and Steve Rogers, the senior member of this Montreal Expos team, and of course Yuppie for the presentation of that check.
We thank Gaetan for his visit to Olympic Stadium to
Of course,
Montreal.
this site of Gaetan Boucher in Sarajevo is one familiar to everyone who followed the Winter Olympics. Gold in the 1,000 and in the 1,500 meter competition. There he goes, Gaetan Boucher.
well, the thing I marvel at of these speed skaters is the muscle that they have in their legs and how strong and muscular their thighs are. Look at it right there. My goodness. What
That's
power.
something. Looked like the warning track at Olympic Stadium a few years ago.
Well, I guess.
Well, there's Pete. And, of course, he has a story here today. Media in from all over North America on the Rose Watch. Needs one hit to become the second player in Major League Baseball history to accumulate 4,000 hits. And if it's a single, it will be his 3,000th single. And this is also an anniversary date for him, Duke.
Well, it is that. You know, Pete Rose broke in just, what, 31 years ago. 21 years ago, I'm sorry. And he got his first hit off Bob Friend. Now, I faced Bob Friend a lot. He was a sinker ball, curveball, slider type pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in that first game, April 13th, 1963, why, Bill Verdon was a center fielder for the Pirates. And Bill saw that base hit that Pete Rose got. So there aren't too many guys around that can say that they saw Pete Rose's first base hit in this stadium anyway.
The crew working today's game, Doug Harvey's crew. Joe West will be calling the balls and strikes, number 22 there. Doug Harvey will be at first base, Frank Foley at second base, and Jerry Crawford will work at third base. The Expos have a couple of new features to the stadium. We have talked about the artificial playing surface, and all of the players that worked out on it yesterday, Duke, were extremely happy with this surface, needless to say.
Well, I think that the one thing that they're very happy about is that there aren't any lines, really, any seams out in right and left field where you're going to get the funny hops that we were getting because of the Olympic track. They have done a good job of covering those up, and stepping on it is cushioned very well, and it's going to be easier on the legs. It's going to probably make the ball bounce a little bit more, but you're going to have much better playing conditions. They were nailing and gluing down the old carpet, and it was hazardous out there. There was places where you could trip and fall.
And of course, we also mentioned that they have relocated the bullpens. The Expos bullpen will be beyond the left field fence, and the visitors bullpen, the Phillies bullpen, is beyond the right field fence. Well, we'll take a look at the Philadelphia Phillies batting order for today's game. Well, I thought we were going to take a look at it. Juan Samuel will be the leadoff batter. Len Matusak will hit second, and Mike Schmidt third. So you've got some speed. Matusak, who is just in his second year, but he's 29 years old. And then the power of Mike Schmidt. Joe LaFay in the number 4 spot today. The newcomer Glenn Wilson playing in left field, batting 5th. And Von Hayes 6th. Bo Diaz doing the catching and hitting 7th. Devon DeJesus 8th. And Jerry Kuzman.
And Dave, we have something new at Olympic Stadium, a golf cart to bring in the pitchers from the bullpen. You see Charlie Lee coming in right now in that golf cart. That's to speed up play.
It looks like you heading down the fairway.
Yeah. Charlie had a smile on his face. A lot of times heading down that fairway, there's a frown.
That's right. Well, you head down that fairway, a lot of times you can't drive straight either.
That's right.
You're over in the bushes looking for that little white ball. Charlie won't have that problem. Temperature in the low 60s today. All the players agreed that they were pleasantly surprised yesterday. Those players who have opened up in Montreal before remember some very chilly days, but we're blessed with wonderful weather. And in just a moment, Charlie Lee and the Expos will be taking to the field, and we'll be getting this one underway. Phillies last year were 90-72. They finished 6 games ahead of the Pirates. The Expos were in third place, 8 games behind the Phillies. And it really was a couple of doubleheader sweeps in September that enabled the Phillies to knock the Expos out of contention for the National League East Division title. And I imagine there are a few people in this dugout that we're looking at right now that remember that very well.
They remember it, and they remember that they were sort of humiliated in those doubleheaders too. The Phillies took it to them and just flat beat them. They just scored runs at will and did an exceptionally good job. They deserved to win the National League East the way they went at the Expos and beat them. But it's a different story this year. The Expos have the experience, and they have another season under their belt. The Phillies have a lot of guys that are question marks on their ball club.
The Phillies, I mentioned a moment ago, opened up 5-2 now. There's just one team in the National League East with a better record than the Phillies, and that is the record of the New York Mets. They have really come out of the blocks. They lost opening day. Since then have reeled off 6 consecutive victories and have a 6-1 record. The Expos are right behind them at 500, 4-4. And they're taking to the field for the first time at Olympic Stadium, 1984. At Olympic Stadium, 325 down the lines, 475 into the power alleys in left center and in right center, and to straightaway center field, 404 feet. And that's the way they'll line up around Charlie Lee. Rose, Raines, and Dawson in the outfield, left to right. Carter, Little, Salazar, and Wallach around the infield, and Ramos catching.
Well, what a year Charlie Lee had last year. 16-11, 222 innings of work. He gave up 195 hits, struck out 137, walked 84, 33 starts, 8 complete games, 3.12 ERA, and he had 4 shutouts. This year he's 1-1. in 12 2/3 innings of work. You see it on your screen there. 9 hits, 6 strikeouts, 11 walks, and that's been his big problem so far. This is 3rd start.
His win was opening day in Houston on the 3rd, and his loss was to the Atlanta Braves on the 8th. This is Charlie's first home opener, and it's his 4th big league season. Had a slow start in spring training. The shoulder was a little sore.
Well, the new carpet in the stadium, this is how they lay that carpet. It's quite a chore to get that thing down, and a lot of zippers involved. But the Expos and Olympic Stadium needing this new carpet. You get a little bit of a bird's eye view of just exactly how they went about resurfacing Olympic Stadium. I'd like to have the zipper concession.
That's quite a process, isn't it?
It is that.
All right. Ramos making his throw down to second. Charlie Lee is ready, and Juan Samuel will step in.
Well, Charlie will show you a good moving fastball, a slider, a curve, and the off-speed pitch. He just normally will come right at you, and normally having good control. But like I said, so far this season having some problems. He walked 7 in his last start.
Got to watch the speed of Samuel. Phillies lead the league with 12 steals. Samuel has 7. We're underway with a strike. Samuel, just 23 years old, a rookie. Pete Rose in left. 1 away.
You know, Pete started the season with a blue glove. He was breaking in this glove that he's using now. It's a longer glove. He said he's never liked to use the longer glove, but feels that it'll help him now that it's broken in. So he has changed gloves. He made an error with that blue glove, and I think the new glove came out right after that.
Len Matusek up. 29 years old, his 2nd year. Strike 1 on Matusek. He played very well last September for them.
He did that. He's a good low ball hitter. You have to make that ball be breaking down and into him if the pitch is going to be down, because he can golf that ball out of the park.
1 ball and 1 strike. Matusek with 8 hits in 23 at-bats so far. One of those 8 hits is a home run. He hit a couple of home runs last year against the Expos. Charlie Lee is behind. 2 balls and 1 strike to Len Matusek.
You know, the thing that they say to do, if a guy's a good low ball hitter, you pitch him lower, below the knees. Make him beat that ball into the ground if you can. Or pitch him up there.
2-2. Last September in the Phillies surge to the pennant, he hit .286, 4 home runs and 16 runs batted in.
And he did quite a bit of that, as you said, Dave, against the Expos.
That was a big factor in the Phillies' decision-making process concerning Pete Rose. Here's the 2-2 pitch. He tried the breaking pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on, the top of the 1st in Montreal. Rose back in left. 2 away.
They're trying Pete out, aren't they?
Phillies are saying, well, we saw a lot of Pete at first base for us. Let's see how he handles left field.
Right. He played a little right field for the Phillies last year, and both batters have hit fly balls to Pete. He's handled them very well. Now here's Mike Schmidt. 300 batting average this year, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. And you have to be careful. He can hit one out of any part of the ballpark.
Mike Schmidt is now 34 years old, and in 12 seasons has racked up some big long ball numbers. Ranks 21st all time, 391. 35 against the Expos in his career. That's the number I was looking for. 17 of them here at Olympic Stadium, including some that are among the more memorable home runs hit against the Expos.
He's so strong. Look at the strong body he has. You make a mistake and it's downtown.
Wallach. And Mike Schmidt is on.
Now, if the AstroTurf had a little more bounce to it than that, Wallach would have fielded that ball bounced right up, but all the higher he bounced was to his knees that he couldn't make a throw. You'll see it right here. Tim diving for that ball. Now watch him. He'll bounce up all right, but not high enough.
Joe LaFay is up. 8 hits and 25 at-bats for that .320 batting average. Schmidt getting some attention at first base.
Mike has one stolen base this year, but he's been hampered by leg problems, Achilles problems.
Two outs here. 1 ball and no strikes to Joe LaFay.
LaFay, another guy you have to be careful with the fastball down. Most left-handed hitters are good low fastball hitters. He's no exception. Has a home run, 6 RBIs. Off to that good start, hitting .320.
Lee with the 1-0 pitch.
You can strike him out, though.
Foul away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That was a tough pitch, right in on the hands. LaFay fighting it off.
Two outs. Schmidt at first base.
I don't think we've seen so many cameras here since the playoffs with the Dodgers. Boy, are they stacked down by the Expo dugout.
And they will all be focused on home plate in just a few moments. 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike to Joe LaFay. You're wondering how Gary Carter handled himself playing at first base last Saturday at Atlanta with Pete Falcone pitching for the Braves. He handled himself very well, didn't he, Duke?
He did that. He made 2 outstanding plays, and no problems. Gary's a good athlete. He can handle first base. I wouldn't be afraid to put him at third or second or short if you needed to.
2 balls and 1 strike to Joe LaFay. Now 3-1. Charlie, who had control problems his last time out, having some right here and pitching to LaFay. Glenn Wilson is the next hitter if LaFay keeps the inning going for the Phillies.
It's a pretty good running situation if you care to.
So LaFay draws a walk. That's going to bring Glenn Wilson to the plate. Two outs, 2 are on.
Charlie trying to get a little extra on that pitch out over the plate. Missed high and a little bit outside.
So now Glenn Wilson steps in. 25-year-old right-handed batter. 1 strike on Wilson.
This has to be tough on Wilson. Excuse me, Dave. He has not faced Charlie Lee before, and whenever that happens, why, the pitcher has a definite advantage if the hitter's never faced him before.
Lee checking Schmidt at second base. 1 ball and 1 strike to Wilson. Acquired along with John Walkenfuss from the Detroit Tigers in a deal made toward the end of March. Deal that sent Willie Hernandez to the Detroit Tigers. Lee with the 1-1 pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes down.
That was a high breaking pitch and a very Strange swing that time by Wilson. Kind of a stiff swing. You'll see it here. That high breaking ball. A little bit stiff with that swing. When you're tight like that, why, you're usually late. Drag the bat a little bit.
Charlie got the strikeout that he wanted. That's all for the Phillies. They come up empty and leave 2 men on base, and the Expos will be coming to bat. This is Expos Baseball on CBC.
If you want to keep your family warm all winter, ICG Badiad has conceived for you the Lincoln Furnace. With its electrical hot air system, the Lincoln transforms energy into heat with 100% efficiency. Imagine all the money you can save. And ICG also has the Lincoln and Keep Right heat pumps. Innovation, comfort, and guarantee of quality means Lincoln Keep Right to keep your family warm all winter long.
From JVC, brand new dimensions in sight and sound. A full line of VCRs, all with JVC's amazing 4-head recording system. High-definition TVs that are fully remote and ready for the video age. JVC, taking you beyond innovation to bring you the pictures of the future. Available at these selected locations.
For the Expos, Pete Rose, Brian Little, and Tim Raines, followed by Andre Dawson, Gary Carter, Tim Wallach, Bobby Ramos, Arteta Salazar, and Charlie Lee. Well, it could be a big moment right here. Pete Rose to lead off against Jerry Koosman. Pete's first major league hit coming April 13th, 1963. Looking for number 4,000 right here.
And oddly enough, his first hit was a triple. That's probably the toughest kind of base hit to get, is a free base hit.
Rose has hit well against the Phillies. He's got a .340 lifetime batting average against the Philadelphia Phillies. Ground ball for Samuel. And Rose is out in his first trip to the plate on Jerry Koosman's first pitch of the game. One down, and Brian Little's coming up. Brian Little, along with Tim Raines, are tied for the league lead in hits with 14 apiece. Brian has 14 in 35 at-bats for that .400 batting average. And he's hit safely in 7 of the first 8 Expos games.
You know, the thing that Brian has shown management, last year he didn't play against left-handed pitchers. This year he's hitting left-handed pitchers batting right-handed, showing he can do it.
The Expos featuring these 3 switch hitters right at the top of the batting order. Saw the note about the bunt singles. Brian has 3 of them already this season. 1-1 on Brian Little. There's several players in this Expos lineup that are seeing Koosman for the first time. Koosman is ahead on Brian. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One out, nobody on. We're in the bottom of the first inning in case you just tuned in. The Expos and the Phillies opening day in Montreal. The 1-2 pitch. Pulled foul into the seats. Among Brian's 14 hits are 5 doubles. 40-year-old Jerry Koosman getting the sign. He hit the off-speed pitch out into left field with a base hit.
Well, Brian said one of the reasons that he thinks that he's swinging the bat a little bit better this year is that he's gained 10 pounds. He feels he's much stronger. You see Schmidt go to his left, Barely get the fingertips on the ball.
A base hit for Brian Little. Tim Raines to the plate. Batting .438. Brian Little at first base. Raines with 14 hits in 32 at-bats. His batting average is tops in the league. He also led all National League leadoff batters. He had great numbers as a leadoff hitter. And so far, he's done very well in this number 3 spot, and he's feeling comfortable here. Koosman giving Little a lot of attention.
Little only stole 4 bases last year, has 1 this year, but I think a couple of throws over there will keep Little close enough to where you can pitch to the hitter.
Raines taking a strike. Raines has 4 doubles among his 14 hits. Also has hit a home run. Koosman continuing to keep an eye on Brian Little at first base. One strike on Tim Raines.
Counts 2-2 at first base.
One ball, 1 strike to Raines. Tim Raines last year led the Expos in batting with runners in scoring position. Andre Dawson's in the on-deck circle. Raines hit .368 with men in scoring position last year. Thought about bunting there for a hit. 2 balls, 1 strike. One of the reasons that prompted the Expos to put him into the 3rd place in the batting order. If Rose and Little continue to get on base, the Expos have their very best batter hitting 3rd with men in scoring position. Koosman really working on Brian Little.
Well, it's ridiculous to keep doing that. If you think something's up, why, it's a different situation, but just to continually throw over there. Brian doesn't even have that right foot on the AstroTurf.
The 2-1 pitch to Raines. Fouled back into the seats behind home plate.
Normally, a move to first, it's not generally sometimes, it's just to keep the runner a half a step or so closer to first base. There are times that you go for the pickoff, of course. Koosman really worried about Little.
Raines striking out. 2 away. The first strikeout for Koosman. And Andre Dawson will come to the plate. We'll get a look at the strikeout.
Looked like a breaking ball in. Slider. Well, middle of plate, I guess, but fooled Tim Raines, didn't it?
Yep. Koosman stands 6'2", weighs 225. He says he's in the best condition of his career. He's following that Steve Carlton physical conditioning program.
Well, Steve Carlton and John Denny walking testimonies on what that conditioning thing can do for you. Koosman might be pitching like he's 30 years old before long.
And this is his 17th year. Andre Dawson with 7 hits in 30 at-bats. Been bothered by a sore left knee. Of course, Hawk has had knee problems in each of the last 3 years. He said the other day when he looked at the new AstroTurf, he said, boy, I would like to have seen this about 3 or 4 years ago. A called strike on Dawson. What happens to Dawson when he's batting and that left knee is bothering him? It tends to give on him. as he swings the bat.
Well, you transfer your weight to the front leg when you swing that bat, and if you have a weakness in the knee, your knee will give once in a while, and even though it doesn't, there are times it'll bother you mentally. You'll just favor it subconsciously, and it will affect your swing.
Kuzman's 1-1 pitch to Dawson. 2 balls and 1 strike.
I don't think cold weather makes the knee feel too good either. If you have fluid on the knee at all, why, all of a sudden it's crushed ice in there.
Kuzman's 2-1 pitch, and Dawson hits it foul into the seats. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
There's nothing worse than having water on the knee or fluid on the knee and being a pinch hitter at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, being called on in the 8th or 9th inning.
Wow, I guess.
Like walking with ice cubes in your kneecap.
3 balls and 2 strikes now to Dawson. If Hawk keeps the inning going, Gary Carter will bat.
Now's when you might pick a guy off. Count 3-2. Get him leaning. Normally it's a guy that doesn't run the bases too well.
Kuzman may have thrown more to first base than he has to the plate in the inning.
Right.
3-2 pitch. Into the seats, foul. Kuzman 11-7 with the White Sox last year. Coming back to the National League. Has beaten the Cincinnati Reds in his only decision. Paul Owens. Now Dawson draws a walk, so there are 2 on for Carter. Well, Kuzman has issued a walk. 2 on for Gary Carter, who is batting .394. Dawson at first base, Little at second base. Carter off to a pretty good start with the bat. Right toward the end of spring training, Duke, looked like Gary was getting his stroke together.
He peaked about 3 or 4 days before the season started hitting the long ball, and well, he hadn't stopped since.
Ball 1 to Gary. A 30-year-old veteran now. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And it's hit foul way up into the seats down the right field line. One ball and 1 strike to Gary Carter. Carter against left-handed pitching so far is 5 for 11. A play for the shortstop to Jesus, to Samuel covering at second base, and that's all for the Expos. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 are left on base. After 1 inning of play at Olympic Stadium, the Phillies nothing, and the Expos nothing.
Introducing the amazing Renault Encore. Look how it feels to mold to the road with 4 wheels suspended independently. Feel it flow through hairpin curves. Look how the new Encore feels as it almost ignores gas pumps and provides front-wheel drive for extraordinary cornering for an amazingly low price. European design, built in North America. The new Renault Encore. Amazing. Renault, the one to watch.
Dunkin' Donuts fresh baked muffins. We think the experts will agree they're the best they've tasted. Grandmas, what do you think?
They taste exactly like my own secret recipe. See you in court, Sonny.
Well, I won't be needing these anymore.
Why, they're even better than yours, Wanda.
Delicious muffins baked fresh daily at Dunkin' Donuts. They may put your grandmother out of business.
All right, they're wonderful.
Philadelphia Phillies will come to bat here in the second. Von Hayes, Mo Diaz, and Ivan DeJesus will be coming up. We'll watch Charlie Lee warm up. The program is authorized under television rights granted by the Montreal Baseball Club Limited solely for the entertainment of our audience. And any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Montreal Baseball Club Limited is prohibited. Some interesting things in the National League East with the Mets off to that 6-1 start. Phillies right behind them at 5-2. Then the Expos at 4-4. And 3 clubs, 1 game under 500. The Cubs, Pirates, and the Cardinals.
Well, the interesting thing about the Mets, they've done that all on the road, too, Dave.
That's right. The Expos will get a good look at the Mets next week in New York. And then on the second Expos homestand, there's Steve Rogers coming off the disabled list next week to pitch in St. Louis.
The Mets, the Expos will be involved in the Mets home opener come Tuesday.
Right, the Mets and the Pirates been living out of a suitcase for quite a while.
Boy, they have.
Batting .250.
Now, Von Hayes, a guy that runs well. He's supposed to have a lot of sock. Just has not put it together yet in the big leagues, consistently anyway.
He's got time. He's 25 years old.
Right.
Broke in with the Indians in '81. Had a pretty good year there in '82. Last year hit .265 with the Phillies, just a half a dozen home runs.
And the Philly fans on him quite a bit tail end of the season.
Started out with injury. He had trouble swinging the bat because of a spring training shoulder injury. Had a thigh injury early in the season. Two balls and 2 strikes on Von Hayes. No score, top of the second.
Well, he's got that closed stance, that front foot towards home plate a little more than the back foot. You can tie yourself up a bit like that.
Well, that was a nice piece of pitching. Did you see Bobby Ramos set that target and call for that pitch right on the outside corner? You'll see it here. And watch Charlie Lee hit his glove.
Number 6, Bo Diaz.
Ramos doesn't give a target like some catchers do and some pitchers like. He gave a target, then dropped the glove down a little bit. Some pitchers like to zero in on a target or part of the glove.
That's right, and they don't like to see movement back there behind the plate. They like
right.
A nice, quiet catcher is the way most pitchers describe it. But Bobby does a pretty good job backing up Gary Carter. Bo Diaz, 5 hits in 23 at-bats, so he's off to a .217 start. That's on the screen behind the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, Bo is striding today. He has that feet spread a long way apart stance where he doesn't stride. And this stance today, he's got his feet closer together and he's going into the ball. You never know about him, what kind of stance he's going to put up there.
Bo pops one up for the infield, and right near second, here's Brian Little. 2 away. And Ivan DeJesus, the Philly shortstop, will be the batter.
Now, DeJesus, a guy that really helps this Philadelphia ball club. He's not a flashy type player, not a real fancy Dan out at short. He gets the job done, runs the bases well, gets key base hits. Just a good everyday ball player.
He's 9 for 27 and has hit in all 7 games. His longest hitting streak last season was 8 games, so he's trying to match that. 1 strike on DeJesus. Charlie Lee with 2 outs and nobody on, looking to get the number 8 hitter here. He'll like that. Then he can lead off the next inning with the pitcher coming up. 2 strikes on DeJesus. Charlie is trying to cool down a pretty hot Philadelphia batting order. This team is hitting .305. The Phillies. One ball and 2 strikes. There's Kuzman.
Right, in the end of the season, why you'll see teams in the 270s batting as a team, 260s, somewhere in there. Rarely 280.
A play for Wallach. And he throws DeJesus out at first base. A good stretch by Carter, who had to lean down toward home plate. 3 up, 3 down. Nothing across for the Phillies after 1.5. No score in the game. This afternoon's game is coming to you from Olympic Stadium in Montreal.
Welcome to Miller time. It's through here. It's yours and mine. Bring your first big self right here. You got the time. We got the fear for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller time. Yours and mine.
Miller High Life, regular price and one of the best beers you can buy. Welcome to Miller time.
It's the consistency. Charbroiling each Harvey's burger to perfection. That's the challenge.
Oh, please. You just have to charbroil them all the same. I have to garnish every one differently, and that difference makes every Harvey's hamburger a beautiful thing.
So what I do is always the same.
What I do is always different.
But until I do what I do, you can't do what you do.
You have a point.
You'd be nothing without me.
I don't even want to think about it.
Harvey's makes your hamburger a beautiful thing.
Now the boys in the dugout.
A little cooler down on the field. Quite a bit. The wind's swirling around somewhat down there, and the shadow now to dress for the occasion.
Gary Carter and the big heavy gloves on the players. You saw Terry Francona wearing some. There's Greg Gross.
We don't want to see him.
No, we want to keep him right there with those gloves on. You know what he's done so far coming off the bench? 3 for 4.
And he hadn't even played the Expos yet.
Right. Tim Wallach up. Looks at a strike from Jerry Kuzman. Wallach off to an 8 for 33 start. That works out to 242. 8 RBIs. Base hit here. Leading off the second. Hit number 2 off Jerry Kuzman.
He tried to jam Wallach that time, but didn't get it in quite far enough, and Jim muscled it between short and third in the left field. You'll see it right here. Wallach, a very strong young man. They tried to jam him, but that didn't get in tight enough.
Tim Wallach is the base runner. Bobby Ramos the batter. 1 hit in 5 at-bats. Ramos going the other way. Samuel into the hole, and a good play.
That was a good play. Going into the hole to his left and then wheeling and getting Wallach at second base. All they could do is get one, and when you can, you want to get the lead runner. Keep that run away from home plate, 90 feet further from home plate if you can, and the Phillies did it that time. Watch this. Ramos trying to hit one into right field. But for the great play of Samuel, why, he would have. Wallach comes in awfully hard.
If there was any question about whether or not DeJesus would throw to first base to try to get the big burly catcher, Wallach erased it.
Right.
Here's Argydas Salazar. 5 hits in 26 at-bats. 23 years old. Well, he'll turn 23 later this summer. He hit .302 at AAA last year, and as Duke pointed out on the pregame show, it remains to be seen what he'll hit here in the National League, but he's confident. He said, I'll hit .270. That's what he said in the spring training camp in Florida.
Well, that's easy to say, but it's not that easy to do.
Center fielder chasing this down, Bon Hayes. 2 away, and Charlie Lee will come to the plate.
Dave, I'd venture to say that if Salazar hits .270, the Expos have got an awful good chance of winning the Eastern Division. He's going to add some sock down the bottom of that batting order for guys like Rose and Little and Raines right behind him after the pitcher. He's going to score a lot of runs.
Charlie Lee comes up here with 2 outs, and Bobby Ramos at first base. Expos and the Phillies scoreless here. Another play for DeJesus, and he throws it away into right field. Ramos is on his way to third. Down the right field line, LaFay digging it out. Ramos has been waved, and he'll score.
Now, a wild throw that time by the shortstop on a routine play, and LaFay coming in had trouble getting over and getting the ball. Ramos, who does not run well, scored all the way from first base. So a big play for the Expos right there. You see it here. Ball hit to short. Plenty of time to throw. Only he threw to the first base side of second base and down into the right field corner.
So now what a setting for Pete Rose, a runner in scoring position, and Pete with 3,999 hits. Wednesday in Cincinnati, he drew 4 walks. He's 0 for 1 today. 1 strike on Pete. In the Cincinnati game, he officially was 0 for 1. The only time he was able to hit the ball, he hit a bouncer back to the mound with Frank Pastore pitching. The starting pitcher, Bruce Bereni, walked him twice, and Pastore walked him a couple of times. The 1-strike pitch. In the air to the seats down the right field line. 2 strikes on Pete Rose. One of the ironies of Pete's first major league hit, April 13th, 1963, was the fact that Phil Burden was playing in center field for the Pirates. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rose.
Tell you, it's going to have to be a pretty good strike to be called strike 3 on Pete.
You would think so. The 1-2 pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pete, 42 years old in his 22nd season. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Little tapper back toward the mound. Koosman flags it down and throws it away at first base. And Rose bangs into Matuzak. Matuzak right on the bag, and Pete Rose about put him into the box seats.
Now that's got to be an error on Koosman's throw. He had plenty of time. He just made a bad throw, and Pete tried to knock Matusek down and enable Charlie Lee to score, but Charlie's running the bases very cautiously here because he should have been at third on that throw down the right field line. Now watch Pete run into Matusek right here.
Here it comes.
Tries to knock him down.
Boom. That's my bag.
Koosman made a pretty good play right here. That ball almost by him. Bad throw in the dirt.
Brian Little fouled the first pitch straight back. Strike 1 on Little with runners at first and third. So Pete officially now is 0 for 2. He tried to get that run in by separating Mr. Matuzak from the baseball. Base hit to left. Brian Little driving in Charlie Lee. The Expos lead 2-0.
Now the Twig's 2 for 2. He just continues to hit the ball and hit it hard.
Runs, of course, are unearned, but they're up there 2-0 Expos. Brian Little's 4th RBI. Little and Rose are the base runners. Tim Raines is the batter. First time up with Brian Little on base. He struck out. Ball one. Two and 0. The error that was charged today, Jesus, is his second of the season. And the one to Kuzman, his first of the season. Three and 0 on Raines, and Dawson is on deck. Tim taking a strike.
Tim thought that was high.
The 3-1 pitch. And Raines takes a strike. He thought that was inside.
Well, I tell you, against a guy like Kuzman, you go up there and you got to want to hit just a little bit more than, let's say, if Carlton, you'd accept a walk a little bit easier than you would against Kuzman, because he's kind of nice to go up there. He's comfortable to hit off of. Carlton is not.
2 out and 2 on. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Kuzman with the pitch, and the runners on the move, and Raines pops it up into the seats behind the Expos dugout.
You talk to hitters about comfortable 0 for 4s or guys that you really love to hit against. They might get you out. And there are guys that are just, every time they go out on that mound, you know you got your work cut out for you as a hitter. That doesn't mean you won't hit the guy good, but you're going to have to work for it.
3-2 pitch. That's up high. Now they're loaded for Andre Dawson. That's the second walk issued by Kuzman. Dawson walked in the first inning. Bo Diaz has would be out of at the third out at second base, and he threw it past, threw it away. Games away.
Special equipment. That's why you're going to like the special option package on Dodge Charger and Plymouth Turismo, which gives you automatic or 5-speed at no extra cost. And you still get protection for 5 years or 80,000 kilometers. Get Charger and Turismo with automatic or 5-speed. It's an all-star deal.
Chrysler, the best-built, best-backed North American cars.
Welcome to Dorian Suit's Magic Show, featuring the wizardry of Magic Ralph. Watch carefully as he steps behind the magic curtain, and in the blink of an eye, voila! Oops, I want to try that again, Ralph. Voila! The Dorian Suit's casual look, neat and practical. Once again, the magic of Dorian Suits. The sporty, ready-for-anything look. You don't have to shop around. Let the magic of Dorian Suits work for you. Of course, the real magic of Dorian Suits is their low, low prices. Try a little magic yourself. Turn into Dorian Suits today.